Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Alex Dvorkin and I'm a managing partner at 40 Capital. We specialize in a very unique set of mathematical calculations that allow us to calculate the stock market and individual stocks in multidimensional space, and when we do, essentially perfect order emerges. And on top of that, we've developed a number of very powerful timing indicators, and when we combine them together, we can essentially predict what the overall stock market or individual stocks, not all of them, but most of them, will do in both time and price. And typically we can do it on multiple time frames, whether it's short-term or long-term, doesn't really matter. Now, I personally believe our work is nearly identical to what Jim Simmons was able to accomplish at Renaissance Technologies, if you're familiar with Jim. So our primary goal as a firm is to essentially identify investment opportunities that will 2x, 5x, 10x in the foreseeable future within a relatively short period of time. And so we essentially looking for the next NVIDIA, Apple, Bitcoin, Tesla, and so on and so forth. And we can typically do it by utilizing our very powerful software that analyzes the stock market in that three-dimensional space and uses the timing filters that I've just described. So we can essentially scan the entire S&P 500 and look for stocks that are about to put in major, very important bottoms. And then subsequently, from those bottoms, we can calculate what those stocks are going to do in the future in both time and price. And that is how we are essentially able to pick out those wonderful opportunities that will 2x, 5x, 10x, and hopefully much more. So today we're going to be looking at Visa Incorporation. And this is one of our mega cap weekly stocks that we update essentially twice a year. And let me open the chart. So for those of you who are not familiar with what you're looking at here is, I'm just going to give you a very quick description. Basically, the triangles you see at the bottom and the top of the chart, we call them cycle composites. And this is very simplistic representation of very complex mathematical concept where we scan the chart back, we identify cycle composites within it, and then we project them into the future. Now, what makes matter a little bit more difficult is that there are typically multiple composites, up and down composites running in any individual stocks or the overall stock market. So I typically give Dow Jones as an example. On the Dow Jones, there are two upper composites and two bottom composites running at the same time. But if you can figure out how to put them together, you can essentially replicate this line, the time and price line that you see on the two-dimensional chart. Okay, so basically what we say is that these cycle composites will get you into the neighborhood of what any particular stock is going to do. So these longer term cycles typically have 1 or 2 months of margin of error associated with them. The lines you see on the chart right here we call cycle clusters. And it is also a very simplistic representation of what you have here. So we have developed a number of proprietary time cycles that we scan the chart back and then we project them to the future. But what we found over the years is that typically very important time and price turning points occur not when any particular cycle arrives, but when there are a multitude of cycles arriving at the same time. So for example, if we look here at the top for Visa, and you can see in the left-hand corner right here, we had 5, let me see, and of course, as I'm recording the video, it is not showing the proper output. So I believe we had 5 cycles right here. Let me click on it and see if it, yeah, 4 cycles. 4 cycles right here at the top in, I believe in March. And then right here at the bottom we had 4 cycles, right here at the top we had 5 cycles, etc. So it proves my point. Essentially, when any particular important turning point occurs in any particular stock or the world stock market, we typically have a multitude of cycles arriving at the same time. I typically described 2009 bottom as a very good example. At that time, in March, around March 6th, I believe, we had 15 very powerful cycles arriving at the same time. So anybody who was watching that and familiar with that would essentially come to a very quick conclusion that the stock market was about to bottom and increase going forward, and that's actually what happened, as you very well know. So basically, these cycle clusters or cycle composites will get us into the neighborhood of a turning point, and bottom for the bottoms, tops for the tops, and then the cycle clusters will get us the actual date of when the turning point will occur. Okay, so let's jump to Visa very quickly and see what it's telling us. Basically, the forecast is very similar to JP Morgan Chase forecast that we did approximately about a week ago, or maybe a little bit more than a week ago. So the stock is moving into this particular major top. Once that particular major top has occurred, which is likely to be the case as of this top in June, the stock will decline into a very important bottom that is scheduled for late 2026. Now, this computer output is perfect illustration why once we have to, when we find a stock of interest, we have to go into it and essentially confirm the math by hand, because in this particular situation the bottom cycle is incorrect and the bottom cycle has to be extended into the second half of 2026. So this particular setup is not correct, but most of the time computer is right, but sometimes it's wrong, and this is one of the cases. So when we do analysis by hand, we can determine whether or not it is correct, and then we can correct if we do find an error. In this particular situation, the error is the bottom for Visa will arrive in second half of 2026. I'm not being precise here. We can actually do it to the week, but I'm not being precise here specifically for that reason, because in this particular form, I don't want to be as precise as I could be. Now, as I mentioned, the bottom, well, let's jump back to JP Morgan Chase. Most of the financials are topping as we speak. So JP Morgan Chase, we talked about a week ago, and at that time I outlined a number of different prices that I said the stock is topping. We are approaching that first threshold where a potential top will occur in both time and price. And if you remember, we talked about October top for JP Morgan Chase, and for Visa, unfortunately, that top is likely already behind us. As of June top, this particular top, because we had a number of very powerful cycles arriving at that time, and there is no reason to believe the stock price will push above this particular high. It we could see a double bottom, triple bottom, as a matter of fact, or a top, I'm sorry, but it's completely unnecessary here. So in our calculations, both the time variable and the price variables we hit perfectly right here in June top, and the stock doesn't really have to go much higher. So the question becomes, where's the bottom? Let me show you this, okay? So the chart in front of you is just a different representation of our three-dimensional calculations. It's very similar to what you saw on the previous chart, but this one actually gives us the possible bottom for this particular stock. So if you notice this particular square, I won't go into details of why we determined that this particular square is most likely the target for the decline of Visa stock, but our work shows that there's a very high probability that Visa is going to decline into this area. And if we click on it, the price is showing, let's say, $230 plus or minus $5. So at this point in time, we already know that Visa has topped and will decline into this particular bottom in fourth quarter of 2026. So as you can see, this is very powerful information, particularly if you were thinking about perhaps going long in Visa or doing something else. From our perspective, it's the decline is not going to be sufficient enough to participate on the short side, but it is also giving us a very clear indication that it's not particularly a good long investment at this point in time. It is much better to wait for this particular bottom to arrive in second half of 2026, and then we can essentially ride the stock to new all-time highs, which are coming after this particular bottom will arrive, and that will go into 2029, 2030, I believe, around there. So with that said, once again, we do have much better time and price parameters than what I'm describing here. And in order for you to get access to those, all you have to do is request a free trial for our services. It is quite expensive, but we do have a 30-day free trial, no strings attached, no credit cards, none of that stuff. You would be interested in seeing this stock, Visa, or any 52 other mega cap stocks, as well as the overall market, fast movers. We have so much information there. It's best. Once again, our primary goal is to identify those stocks that will put in important bottoms and surge much higher going forward. And the stocks that I often bring in this forum fit into that category very, very well. So once again, if you would be interested, please request a trial, and then you can check out all of that information. The link is in the description of this video. Also, we have a webinar coming tomorrow. In that webinar, or the selling point of the webinar, we'll discuss our mathematical calculations, how we calculate the market. We show off our software, but the most important thing is that we discuss the current composition of the overall stock market. We typically shy away from doing that because we don't want to share that information in the free forum. But if you would be interested in joining that webinar, the link is once again in the description of this video. Don't forget to subscribe, all of that good stuff. We'll be back with another stock tomorrow. It's going to be one of our fast movers and one of our super equities. Very excited about it. It's actually, I'll give you a preview. It's FMC. So very important bottom is coming up, and then the stock is going to surge much, much higher. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Thank you very much for your time. Have a wonderful day ahead. Bye-bye.